Hello, my name is Patricia Ruiz. My professional growth project is on supporting ELL students in STEM. I'm currently a substitute teacher for the San Jacinto Unified School District and Redlands Unified School District. While being a substitute teacher, I have encountered with many students who are classified as ELL. I wanted to learn more about what ELL is and how it makes a difference in how you teach and more how it applies to STEM and how you can use it in various ways. To identify and classify an ELL student, there is a process that comes upon. It consists of assessments, recommendations. In the article Classification System for English Language Learners, Issues and Recommendations, Jamal Abdi discusses ways to classify a potential ELL student. One of the ways is by providing home language surveys for the parents or guardians in which they answer questions relating to the student's personal background and language use at home. Another way is by examining students through initial English language proficiency assessments. Because I did not know the process that students went through to be classified as ELL and how the role of the teacher can make a difference in classifying a student as ELL. So if a teacher notices a certain difference, it can create a bias there, which I didn't really think about, but it's true. What might be fulfilling for one teacher may not be fulfilling for another teacher in terms of meeting a standard or meeting a certain goal. So it leaves room for bias. And why am I talking about this? Because this influences the way you're going to teach in the curriculum you're going to develop, and it will influence your teaching philosophy and teaching style. In the article Teaching ELLs Through STEM Content, NSTA reports how the importance of scaffolding can help access learning for students, especially in students who are ELL. Having a classroom culture of productive talk or science talk allows students to express themselves, and it leads to it becoming part of their identity. Since these students are learning a new language and its use, it's important for us as a teacher to introduce and discuss more about real world topics, especially in science. For example, a teacher can lead a discussion on climate change, and that will open up, the conversation to other topics, and that just amplifies, when the student is thinking, it amplifies their thinking. The use and integration of the NGSS 5Es model is really important when teaching STEM because it allows students to focus in different areas, and the 3Es: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. It helps students structuralize and organize their thinking, their ideas overall, therefore make connections that go further. Through project-based learning, it allows for more hands-on activities for students. Students are able to practice the process of decision making, and they are able to use real-world applications in their projects. They are able to make discoveries by planning, creating, and producing overall during the process of working on the project. How can you support an ELL student? One way you can support an ELL student is by using label diagrams. Label diagrams allow the student to visually interpret the concept by filling in the blank. It allows the student to synthesize and reason closely based on those certain concepts. Using picture and visual representations, it allows students to imagine and therefore contextualize ideas and concepts For example, you can use in this second picture where it says write, color, circle, underline, or highlight, you can use these little visuals next to these words when giving instructions. For example, if you use a worksheet, you can include those words, and that way ELL students are able to identify when you want them to color or when you want them to circle. They're able to put two and two together, and you can also use it in this third picture that's next to it for labels around the classroom, so the students can know what is what, and it's an indicator. It serves like as an indicator for the students since they're learning the language. They are also learning the functionality, how it's used in everyday ordinary life. Using language and sentence frames can help students structure and analyze within the text, ultimately guiding them into the proper use of sentences and overall language use. When working with ELL students, it's important to build their vocabulary. So vocabulary support, having a word wall or having, vocabulary words of the week, it's really helpful for them because it's helping them understand the purpose behind the words. That purpose leads to strengthening their ideas and their concepts that they are going to use in everyday life for the rest of their lives. So it's really important to build vocabulary. Through the use of total physical responses, students are able to understand in more physical, kinesthetic way. So for example, this is seen a lot when singing the ABCs to the students. They'll use little symbols using their body and their hands, and also you can use miming when you're trying to support a student who perhaps isn't understanding the English language at all. Miming can help the student understand what is expected of them and what is happening. Through active discourse, students are able to collaborate and discuss with their peers. They're able to question and share perhaps concepts or ideas that they cannot express independently. They are also able to learn. Specifically in STEM, there are several tools you can use to help support an ELL student. There are several translation programs a student can use if there is any language barriers. Through the use of coding and math programs, students are able to practice their analytical skills and use their universal language, which is critical when supporting an ELL student. Also using different hands-on supplies, and through this course I have learned the importance in accommodating and addressing to every student. As an educator, you take on that responsibility. Also, being open-minded and ready to take on, because when you walk into a classroom, there's a lot that happens. In some cases, you have to be ready to go with the flow, as they say. Another thing is revisiting, reinforcing, and reassuring on students' material and instruction. Sometimes as teachers will teach a certain lesson and the students do not understand it at all. So it's about not being afraid of making mistakes. Last but not least, cultivating a sense of community and belonging within the students, within the whole classroom. It's important for students to feel welcomed and feel supported. And it's like I mentioned before, it's a team. It's not teacher and student. It's a team. We all learn from each other, and that's something that I keep in mind and will always keep in mind as an educator. Thank you.